Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Real America's Voice News and for different networks. It is 7:52 in the West Coast time. Today is October 6th, the year 2025, the year of our Lord and Savior. A really aggravating thing happened yesterday, and it happened in Cabo San Lucas. Cabo San Lucas, it is an extremely beautiful place that everybody knows, everybody has visited. Americans go over there a lot. And San Jose del Cabo is also another place that is extremely and it's remarkably beautiful. You have a lot of Americans that they live over there also. You have a lot of Americans that they live over there, a lot of Americans that they're citizens, a lot of dual citizens also, from American citizens and also Mexican citizens and dual citizens from all parts of the world that they live over there in Cabo. And a lot of them that they have their businesses over there and they dedicate themselves, U.S. citizens that they dedicate themselves to, real estate and that they live down there. It is not the first time that happens. Let me just be completely, addressing the situation. These cartel banners, which they have been put out consistently and openly and in different parts of the country, it is not the first time. It is not the first time that the cartel has put out a banner directed to the president or even directed to somebody else in power in the United States of America. Let's remind that on the first term of the Trump administration, there was a cartel banner that it was directed to Trump to say, do not stop our caravans or something, it will be happening later on. We will cause some kind of this, instability at the borders. So yesterday, a journalist from Cabo San Lucas in San Jose del Cabo catched something that I will give credit to him ultimately at the end of the day. And a lot of the people took pictures of these banners. There were two banners that they were put on the city of Cabo. On these two banners, there were direct threats on the first three people. The cartel put three names of three governmental officials from the United States of America. The first one was Terry Cole, that he is an administrative law drug enforcement, and he works for the current administration of the United States of America, basically a DEA agent. The second one was Ronald Johnson, that he is an ambassador of the United States in Mexico. And the third name in the banner, it was Kash Patel, the current director of the FBI in the United States of America. Then later on, they mentioned a couple of people, and then they mentioned Claudia Sheinbaum, that is the president, and then Omar Garcia Harfuch, that is the head chief of security of the citizens in Mexico. Look at the order of how they put this banner. And how they put this banner on this order, it is because they put the three governmental officials in front and the first names on this banner. The number one reason why is because the Cartel of Sinaloa has been recently viciously hit with seizures, large quantity of seizures of tons of drugs of fentanyl, tons of liquids, precursors, to be exact, to just basically construct and make fentanyl. And also, not only that, but they have seized a lot of the guns that they have been coming in from El Paso, Texas, into Juarez. On the banner, specifically, it says, stop messing with our laboratories, directed to the authorities. And that is why they mentioned three of these governmental officials. Why the cartel is mentioning them? The number one reason why is because there is an obvious collaboration right now with the United States authorities and the Mexican authorities to basically dismantle the criminal organizations and go after dirty politicians. How this is evidence? We have seen the evidence on the state of Baja California Norte, that is the north side, in comparison to Baja California Sur. On the state of Baja California Norte, the governor of Baja, Marina del Pilar, and her husband were the first ones to put as an example that they were going to cancel, revoke, or put on hold their visas to cross to the United States of America because they are under investigation of the conspiracy of smuggling gasoline into international waters, and also to be in cahoots with the organized crime and the cartel. Also, Norma Bustamante, that is the mayor of Mexicali, and her husband, their visas were revoked and also they were put on pause And that Mexicali, mayor, it is the next city of Calexico, California. Just recently, Hilda Brown, a former mayor of Rosarito, that is another municipal city from the state of Baja California Norte, and is a current federal deputy of the Republic of Mexico. She has been signalized to be in cahoots with the Sinaloa cartel, and she is in the spiderweb to be connected with leaders of the cartel that they are wanted by the U.S. government. So the government of the Trump administration, it is doing something that nobody in history has ever done. And the cartel of Sinaloa, or these fractions of the cartel of Sinaloa, they're extremely upset. Why? Because they are basically finding out the companies that they were providing the precursors to make fentanyl. This is why fentanyl has been reduced to 50% of the arrival into the north borders from the south into the north. And this is why the level of people that they are dying of overdose and fentanyl has decreased, not impressively in the United States of America on these first months, but it has decreased significantly, which tells you that the cartel, it is basically getting hit in the pockets. What we talked about when the Trump administration won this election that I told you guys, what is going to happen, the cartel is going to go back to the normal mode operandi, that is extortion, kidnapping, abducting, and distribution of narcotics, and ultimately the violence and the internal violence inside of the country. This is the report that we made on our platform that already has been shared by multiple platforms in the United States of America. And I will translate the banner the way that it was put in. It is really difficult to translate the Spanish Mexican slang language into, basically English. But I will try to do my best. The translation was done by my manager. She was kindly to do that. So I will put this translation. Then I will go and tell you who is Ronald Douglas Johnson, who is Terry Cole. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I want to show you how the United States, the Department of Treasury, has already discovered the companies that they were providing the precursors of fentanyl to the distributors to distribute this precursors of fentanyl. And ultimately, not that, but also to the leaders of the organized crime and the cartel. Say hello on the chat to my mentor and the person that I admire a lot, a person that I look up to, Mr. Chuck Holton. Please follow him and the Hot Zone and Chuck Holton. Chuck, I will definitely will try to go to, wherever you go. I will follow you. You know that I'm always admiring everything that you do, and you're my mentor. So yes, absolutely, brother. I will try to go there, and I will talk to you later on as I finish this live feed. God bless you. Say hello to the family. So I will put this video for people to watch. This is my report, and then after that, I will translate the banner, and then I will go to how the Department of Treasury has discovered these companies that they have basically, that they have basically were providing precursors of fentanyl into Los Chapos, that is the sons of El Chapo. Let us watch this report, and then I will go and translate the banner, and we go step by step. God bless you all. Buy me a coffee. It is right there, pinned in the chat for people that want to contribute to my independent reporting and travel fund. God bless you. Breaking news. A cartel banner was discovered in Los Cabos, Baja California Sur, reportedly signed by La Chapitza, a fraction of the Sinaloa cartel linked to Los Chapos. The message, which was quickly removed by the authorities, contained direct threats aimed to U.S. officials and American citizens residing in the area. According to preliminary information, the banner specifically named FBI Director Kash Patel, the President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, and Mexico Security Chief Omar Garcia Harfuch. The text warned of a wave of violence against American tourists beginning October 5th, allegedly in retaliation for the seizure of several illicit shipments in recent days. The message further stated that every American citizen who resides in Cabo San Lucas and San Jose del Cabo, it is being targeted, declaring, "We are the ones who call the shots, and we are the ones in charge. Authorities removed the banner swiftly to prevent widespread panic among the local community and the large American population living in Los Cabos. If it is confirmed, this will be the mark of the first publicly posted cartel threat against FBI Director Kash Patel on Mexican soil by the organized crime and the cartel. So that was the report. Now there's something that is more aggravating to this report, that more aggravating to this banner, right? So the aggravating thing is that the cartel was threatening to go after on the 5th of October, that it was yesterday, to American citizens that they are citizens now on that particular city and beautiful city of Cabo. So this is completely concerning, because it was a matter of time that they were going to get desperate and they were going to do these desperate measures. Now, it is stupid by the cartel. Why? Because you're giving them, it is stupid, and it is a way of a strategy. And I will tell you which is a strategy. The cartel, by doing this, it is basically asking for the intervention or asking for the American authorities to come and get it, right? Like they say in Texas. But it is a strategy also on their hand to push the Mexican government to do something about it. Because if they don't do nothing about it, they will say, you know what, we're going to continue to expose this. And we're going to continue to say, we are going to do this, whether you're going to do it or not. It is basically a threat to U.S. officials. Now, this is the translation. And it is, we did the best that we can, people, of the banner. It is in English, so it says Terry Cole, Kash Patel, Ronald Johnson, Marina Ministerial, Grupo Sadai, Claudia Sheinbaum, the president, Harfuch, State Attorney General Manager, alias, a.k.a. El Six, number 6, or better known as Babay. You will be the ones to blame when we show you how we will wage this war, starting on the October 5th, that it was yesterday, of 2025. We will begin to renounce every American citizen who lives where we have a presence in La Chapitza. La Chapitza is a fraction of Los Chapos. Mainly those who live in Cabo San Lucas in San Jose, for getting involved in a war in Sinaloa, Baja California Sur, where we are in charge. You bunch of, I'm not going to say the word right there. It is profanity. We will show you if you do not stop arresting the plebs, La Plebada, that is our group of people, and confiscating our laboratories. Number one, confiscating our laboratories and weapons in Juarez, Sinaloa, in Baja California Sur, and retreating to the Badiraguato Mountains. So clearly, this shows you, inevitably, people, that they are completely upset that the Mexican authorities and also the American authorities are basically possibly, and they're more likely collaborating to dismantle these criminal organizations and to stop the distribution of fentanyl and to stop the distribution of these precursors that they were creating fentanyl. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Look at the positioning of what they say on this banner. They say, stop, dismantling and confiscating our laboratories. Why they say that, and I will go step by step. Why they say, stop confiscating our laboratories. This is why they say that. It was just released by the Department of Treasury of the United States of America. And it basically puts 8 Mexicans that they were in charge of these companies, that they were providing the precursors for fentanyl to the sons of El Chapo Guzman. And these 8 people are involved now on distribution of these precursors of fentanyl to basically the fractions of La Chapitza, that those were the precursors and the liquids or the material to construct and to make fentanyl. These are the companies. Every single company now, it is in cahoots, and it is being signalized by the Department of Treasury of Office of Foreign Assets and Control of the United States of America. This is a great hit to the organized crime and the cartel. Why? Because I go back again to the banner. If you go back again to the banner, it quickly signalizes on this banner that they're extremely upset, that they say right here, stop arresting all of our people and confiscating our laboratories. Which are their laboratories? These are their laboratories that they just recently got hit. The companies that they were providing the precursors to make the liquids of fentanyl. And the 8 people that they were basically providing and aiding and abating these materials to get to these organized groups and this crime, right? To continue. Now, if you go to the other part of the banner, and the other part of the banner, it says, and weapons in Juarez, which means that just recently they have been, basically abducting and seizing guns and seizure of guns in the part of Juarez. So this is basically one of the biggest things that exists. There's a comment right here that I would like to address. It says, I used to like Oscar, but then he started blaming American children. Wow. Are the drug use that it was brought by for 13 million back in the day. I never blamed American children. If I ever talk about this and you misinterpreted it and you interpreted this because you don't want to accept the fact, and this is a reality and American citizens know this, that this is a bilateral problem. And we need to admit this. This is a bilateral problem. The fact of the matter that I'm saying, there is a buyer and there is a demand. It is because we have a problem. And the ones that they're suffering the consequences are the American children and the American people. But you assisting and assuming that what I meant, it is the opposite. It is completely not knowing and not having knowledge of what I was meaning. The problem it is the organized crime and the cartel that is distributing this fentanyl and these narcotics into the United States, and the one that is buying it, that is the other cartel that is located inside of the United States of America, that is the most obvious, the supply and the demand, that these are the ones that they're distributing, and it is the addiction problem that the United States has, that right now it is decreasing massively because the government of Mexico has been attacking what I'm mentioning right here. That let's go back again to the image. That is a great hit. Right here, they're attacking the laboratories that they're providing, and they're aiding this precursors of fentanyl. Precursors of fentanyl into the La Chapiza. That these are companies, legitimate companies, that they are, that they are basically were providing these liquids and these materials of precursors into the hands of the sons of El Chapo. This is the reason why, people, this banner was put like this. There's no other reason why. This is the number one reason why they're upset. And it's clear that, it is something that is going to hit them in the pockets. We talked about this. When Donald Trump won the election, I said, they asked me in several hits and with several networks, Oscar, what is going to happen now with the organized crime and the cartel? They're going to go back to their mode operandi, their internal violence. And I will show what am I talking about of the internal violence. What I'm going to talk about the internal violence is the violence that is occurring right now. Current beheadings, mass graves, missing people, assassinations towards women, assassinations towards police officers that just recently I reported on one, and I'm going to put the video for people to watch it and the report for people to know what is going on over here, how the violence has increased. They're getting desperate. Why? Because they're getting hit. And they're actually more than getting hit. They're actually being exposed. So what the Trump administration is doing, it is something that has never been done. They're pressuring the dirty politicians in the head of the snake. So if you don't have a head of a snake that is actually providing basically the authority for you to do whatever the hell you want, you are not going to have the ability. And also, you're not going to have the freedom to do whatever the hell you wanted to do as you were doing before. That is basically this, that you were paying companies to buy these precursors and these liquids and these, illicit, in quantities, in large quantities, to basically, create fentanyl in the laboratories. That, by the way, this is something that is extremely important for everybody to understand and for everybody to know. This is extremely important. and it is extremely important by me saying this. The fact of the matter that they're going after the companies and exposing the company, the Department of Treasury, the fact of the matter that the government of the current administration, it is actually exposing the dirty politicians. That is huge for us. Why? Because everybody can tell you, you can extradite or you can deliver so many criminals to the United States of America, but the problem is going to continue. Why? Because we have a corruption problem, and it is on the judicial power. It is on every power. Now, just recently, I was in a hit, which I am going to put later on right here, with Lili Tellez. Lili Tellez, it is one of the most incredible senators in our, basically in our generation. And then she has been the only one that has been currently fighting basically this problem, and has been the only one that has been addressing this problem, and has been the only one that has been talking about this problem in the Senate in Mexico. A lot of people say you got to protect her. We have to protect her. I talked to the senator for more than a couple of times before bringing her on to America's Voice, and we talked on the phone. We had a deep conversation about what is the deep purpose of basically coming into American networks and exposing this before getting her on, and before her, saying, okay, Oscar, let's go. We had a deep conversation about all the problems of Mexico, and she's a strong woman. I respect her so much because she is a Mexican hero, and she's the only one that is fighting about this. And this is what the Trump administration has done. The Trump administration has pushed the Mexican government so bad that now politicians on the opposition, even before Trump, Lili Tellez has been fighting this, but now other politicians have rised up and lifted their voice to say, enough is enough. This is a gigantic problem. We're not going to let this continue. This is our interview for people to understand what am I talking about. This is Lili Tellez in our network, Real America's Voices with
In Mexico, senators, we don't have that kind of power. And now in Mexico, it's like a monarchy. This is not a republic anymore. That is very important for people to know. Mexico is not a republic anymore because the president just robbed the Supreme Court and all the lower courts with a false majority, with a majority that is not real, and she is the boss of all the senators of her party, and she is now the boss of all the judges, of all the judiciary in Mexico, and she is also the president. So we don't have in my country a republic anymore. She is following the steps of Venezuela. The next thing she is going to do is she wants to take away, of course, the media to control everything, because the reality is getting through the social, through TikTok, through Twitter, Instagram, But she is very worried. She doesn't want Mexicans to see what's happening in Mexico, so she's going to do what the Venezuelan dictator did. That's to take all of the media to continue telling lies to Mexico. She is constantly telling Mexicans that the United States wants to invade our country, and that's a lie.
So now, do I understand it correctly that the cartel actually have people within your government, almost like plants to sway your government, maybe even Sheinbaum? And why is she so deferential to the cartel when President Trump says, we'll send military, we'll send help? And she says, no, we don't need it. Clearly you need it. Oscar Ramirez right here has shown us mass graves, dead people, refrigerators dumped with bodies thrown on the side of the road. We're going to show some of this stuff. There's clearly a problem with the cartels, their murderous ways, but why does Sheinbaum refuse to take the help, the assistance of the U.S. government?
Because there is a real association between the cartels and the government. The cartels are so rich. It's such a huge quantity of money they have, they give this money to the political candidates of the left, of her party, of Morena party. So when they get into office, when they have the power, they have to protect the cartels. And that is the truth. That is why she doesn't want more help from the United States. She even called me a traitor, and all her party is calling me a traitor just because I said that Mexico that Mexicans are okay with help to fight cartels. The crime in Mexico is so high, the country is so dangerous, and the association between the cartels and the government is so deep. It's so deep in the government that even that here in Mexico we have armed forces to fight against it, there is not the order from the president. The president in Mexico is the supreme chief of the armed forces, and she doesn't give the orders to go against it. Clearly, she doesn't. She even has in the Senate, the leader of the Morena party is linked with a very dangerous cartel, and she supports him.
So that was our interview. God bless her. We message and we talk about the current situations in which they're happening. I just sent her this banner of this cartel banner. I sent her yesterday, and she was like, "We are in deep trouble." She said, "It's going to get worse, Oscar." These are the current situations. Now let's go back to the banner, and I want to explain something right here. And the thing that I want to explain, it is what I want to add right here. So on the banner, you have the first name that it says Terry Cole. So for people to understand, who is Terry Cole on this banner, and you go right here, and it says Terry Cole. It is an American law enforcement official serving as the 12th administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration since 2025. He previously served as the Virginia Secretary of Public Safety from 2023 to 2025 under Governor Glenn Youngkin. So this is a direct threat on the banner, specifically first name that comes to the banner, it is Terry Cole. How do they know, the cartel and the organized crime, how do they know these names? Of course, there is possibly information or the government, it is so corrupt in Mexico that they have their own informants that they know basically who is in and who is out and who's controlling and who's decreasing and who's dismantling and who is basically seizing, creating all these seizures of tons and tons of quantity of fentanyl, of cocaine, and also the recent bust over these 12 companies that they were providing the precursors to make fentanyl. Now, that is the number one name. First name, it is Terry Cole. Now, you go to the banner. Again, it is Kash Patel. Everybody knows who Kash Patel it is, the director of, basically of the FBI. Then you go to Ronald Johnson. Now, who it is, Ronald Johnson. And this is Ronald Johnson. Ronald Johnson, he is an ambassador of the United States in Mexico. So it is aggravating because these two threats are directed to, public officials of the United States of America. 3 public officials of the United States of America. And it is the first threat, direct threat to basically, Kash Patel, that I believe that is, unbelievable, this boldness of just the cartel going after, geez, Lord, the cartel going after, these 3 governmental officials. For me, it is incredible. Now, if you go to, this is the guy that I want you guys to understand. Where did we gotten this information? It is Metrópoli MX. This was the guy that, that basically provided this information for us. And Metropoli MX, you can find it on, on X, and also you can find it on somewhere else in different platforms. So it is basically exposing also the banners that they were put out by the organized crime in the cartel. And it says on 2 banners in Los Cabos, narco terrorists, they threaten the DEA and the FBI. And it says, quote unquote, we are going to demonstrate you what we are going to do in a war after the 5th of October. We are going to initiate to every American citizen that basically resides, and we are going to let them know that we have presence. So it is basically goes, number one, who are the threats to the United States of America? It shows right there the threats to people. Terry Cole is one of them. Cash Patel is one of them. Ronald Johnson is another one. That is the threat. In Mexico, the threats are directed to Claudia Sheinbaum, that is the president of Mexico. Omar Garcia Harfuch, that is the head chief of security and protection of citizens of the government of Mexico. Antonio Lopez Rodriguez, that he is the head chief of the General Justice Department in Baja California Sur. And also they go after Sadai, they go after the Ministerial Police, and they go after also the Secretary of the Marines. So and also they posted our video down right here on the bottom. So thank you to Metropoli MX for this information. We are going to have an interview later on this week with more people that there are going, they're going to basically confirm what I'm speaking right now, because there has been a lot of questions and a lot of people have been asking these questions, and I've been getting the information from people that live there. We don't chat GPT this kind of stuff. We get the information from people that actually live there. So this is the current situation which it is, for me, it is more than aggravating. It is concerning now the level of desperation of the organized crime and the cartel, that basically now they are going after, U.S. officials, which it is something that hasn't been, it's not something that is not happening in the United States of America. In the United States of America, man, you guys are on fire right now with the riots, the level of insecurity of journalism now. And I said this not too long ago. I said, watch out when they started going after this guy that basically his death was really weird, that he used to work for a journalist, God rest his soul, that he used to work for man, my God, this Alex Jones InfoWars. And he died all of a sudden when he went to his home. When that happened, I said, watch out to every journalist, because this is what they are doing. The organized crime and the cartel goes to your address as they try to enter, and they basically let you know what, stop opening up your mouth. Stop saying what you need to be saying. This is what I want you to say now. And now, because you're opening up your mouth, you're going to pay an amount of tax for you to survive. Every month, I'm going to come over here and let you know that you need to pay me just to live. And that actually, is showing with the level of insecurity that is happening inside of the United States of America. Radical progressives, Antifa, radical, terrorists. Now, Antifa is a terrorist organization. And these kind of individuals, they need to be punished the way that the cartel members need to be punished. They need to be in prison. They need to be charged. And they need to be detained and stopped. No playing around anymore. How Antifa grew, and they let that group grow so much. I remember Antifa back in the day when they used to just when they used to just burn these, whatever buildings, and they used to do the squatting and swatting, whatever it's called. And they used to just push officers and throw tear gas and all. Now it has led to threats of shooting police officers and shooting ICE officials. It is kind of like what it's happening in the United States of America. It is a copy paste of what the cartel and the organized crime is doing in Mexico. Watch out. Because if they're actually doing this with the liberty and the freedom in the United States of America, they have more freedom and liberty to do it over there than to do it over here. The difference is that in the United States of America, they find you and you will be, basically incarcerated, and you will be found guilty. In Mexico, it is a lot of corruption. It's different. but there's more freedom to do it over here than to do it over there. And it is actually provoking, and it is going on a copy paste of what is going on over here. And they're actually doing exactly what the cartel is doing over here, putting a bounty on people's heads, putting cartel banners. Now inside of the United States of America, they're threatening law enforcement. They're threatening on shooting them. They're doing all these kinds of threats that it lets people understand what is happening over here in Mexico, how they threat on journalists, how they basically want to assassinate, kill, our voice, and to let us know in every type and sense of the word, through fake pages, through fake profiles, through profiles on every platform. They try to do all these campaigns to basically get us killed. It is a reality of what they're doing. And, it makes us think that we're doing a good job. But it makes you understand also of the level of freedom that these people are getting. And I'm talking about particularly in the United States of America, because that over here in Mexico will not be happening. It is kind of like what it's actually happening in Mexico. Now it is happening in the United States.
People are organized. They're getting more and more people on their team as far as attacking officers, and they're making plans to ambush them and to kill them. We have specific officers and agents that have bounties that have been put out on their heads. It's been $2,000 to kidnap them, $10,000 to kill them. They've released their pictures. They've sent them between their networks, and it's an extremely dangerous situation and unprecedented. So we've put protective detail around those individuals, changed some of our operations to keep our officers safe. But make no mistake, this isn't just about, protesting free speech or that they don't like that people out here are upholding the law of our country. They're actually going out there and saying, kill these people and we'll give you this much money to do it.
That basically tells you of what we have been seeing on a banner. If you see this on a banner, this banner is basically threatening governmental officials from the United States of America if they don't stop detaining and basically confiscating their guns that they're coming in from El Paso to Juarez. If they just keep on dismantling their laboratories and basically stopping their precursors from spreading to construct and to make fentanyl, and if they continue to invade their territory in places where they have it controlled, they will have repercussions to governmental officials, which makes you think the ways that Antifa it is operating right now, it is a copy paste of how the cartel operates. Is basically exactly the same. These people are terrorists. They should be treated exactly the same. And they're using guns, they're using aggressiveness. So they should be stopped and they should be treated as the way that they need to be treated. No more different. No more else. It is just basically the reality. Now, I want people to understand what has been going on in Tijuana. This is something that a lot of people need to understand, the current situation of the city and how. I'm going to put just one case. There has been several murders over here in the border, and this has been a complete action across the whole country. Across the whole country, it is exactly the same with insecurity. Again, I will repeat myself of what has been recently happening. When you take away a basic amount of income, that it was billions of dollars to the organized crime and the cartel through trafficking of children, that it was exacerbated under the Biden administration. Trafficking of men, trafficking of women, trafficking of drugs, trafficking of everything. Under the Biden administration, the cartel grew 2 times bigger. And you guys don't even imagine how much. It is uncontrollable, the amount of money that they made under those 4 years. So imagine you were making billions of dollars, and all of a sudden you're not making not even $1 anymore out of the amounts of trafficking that you were making before. They're going to get upset. And this is the number one reason why I have said multiple times they're going to go back to their mode operandi of violence. And this is what has been recently happening. Now, a lot of people are going to say, oh, this has been happening for years, Oscar Blue. Just because it's been happening for years, it doesn't mean that it needs to continue, right? Because you're not going to say this is because of the fault of the past governments, and we're going to go on this stupid argument like the left in Mexico says all the time, blaming the past governments and never accepting the fact that we have an enormous, gigantic problem right now of insecurity and the narco government. It is a reality. This is a report that we did of a police officer that it was assassinated outside of his parking lot of his home just this past. A Mexican police officer was assassinated by cartel members in the parking lot of his home. Security footage shows two armed individuals approaching the residence and opening fire at close range before fleeing the scene. According to testimonies from neighbors, the attackers were dressed in black and escaped on foot towards a nearby mountain shortly after the shooting. The incident reflects the growing wave of violence and impunity fueled by the organized crime across Mexico. Cartel groups are operating with increasing desperation, carrying out targeted executions as security conditions continue to deteriorate nationwide. Analysts and officials note that the recent pressure from the Trump administration to combat the cartel operations along the U.S.-Mexico border may be contributing to this escalation as criminal organizations respond erratically to intensify scrutiny and enforcement efforts. This is one of the reasons why the cartels are designated as narco-terrorists. And that was our report. Now, this has been happening a lot over here in Mexico. I had a personal incident, and you guys saw what it was happening. I went on air bowling with this particular situation also, and it is concerning. This is extremely concerning. Now, we have been also traveling with collective groups, and collective groups, they search for their family members that they have been buried by the organized crime and the cartel in the mountains. We have been going with them, trying to find out what is going on. You guys need to understand, the organized crime and the cartel, these criminal organizations grew so much. They grew so much that they are now involved in games like Roblox, Discord, all these games where they are recruiting the children. They are recruiting massively the children through these applications. And these applications, and these game applications, they were made specifically, and I believe that they were made specifically by them because they have the ability and the audacity to recruit children through these game applications. It is most certainly, a problem that is growing. And now that we are reporting on this cartel banner, it shows just basically one thing. One thing it is showing, it is the level of desperation of the organized crime and the cartel as they are being basically shut down on their finances. And it is hurting them. And because it's hurting them, it is actually, making them go to a place in a corner where the only solution that they are going to be using more, it is violence. So it is kind of, you go and read The Art of War. The Art of War, it teaches you, the book, I read it multiple times. It teaches you that you have to know how your enemy is behaving. The Art of War tells you you have to know if your enemy is hungry, if your enemy is okay, if your enemy is sick, if your enemy is enjoying, if your enemy, it is, everything that is going on with his life. Basically, right now, the Trump administration or the current administration of the United States of America, it is watching how their enemy, it is behaving. And the enemy, it is behaving right now desperate. And there's going to be a time when it is, the time for the Mexican government to go full on and to basically, eradicate this problem that it has been a cancer inside of our country before it gets metastasized. God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining in. I'm Oscar Blue for Oscar Blue in my platform. Buy me a coffee. It is right there, pin in the chat. Anonymous, thank you so much for the contribution. God bless you. Thank you so much. And also, Dina, thank you so much. God bless you for the contribution. Thank you so much. God bless you. Right there is pinned in the chat. This informative report, I'm going to let it right here on the platforms for you guys to watch it again. And I believe that is extremely important for people to just understand the level of danger that, Mexican journalists are going through right now. It is making the government uncomfortable on people reporting this. A lot of Mexican journalists are doing this kind of reporting. and I applaud their bravery and their courage to come out. There's a lot of Mexican reporters that they're doing this, and the more the better. And the more the better to unite, the more the better to expose, the more the better to lift our voice. Instead of dividing, let's unite. That is the cause of the problem, not because we want this for clicks and likes and and whatever views. I said this multiple times. We want this because we want to fix a problem. And it is a problem that we want to fix for our children, for the future children of our children, and for the population to be basically live at peace. But it's it's extremely important that we decide when it is enough. And this is one of the reasons why I have been speaking about this. You guys know me, the people that have been with me for 8 to 10 years already. You guys know that I never spoke about these topics because of the level of violence, and the level of insecurity that I have gone through all my life. Have been approached by the organized crime of the cartel numerous times, and God has provided me and saved me from numerous situations, like the one that I lived in Guatemala, almost got killed in a mountain. Got into a gunfight in the middle of the Darien jungle with cartel members of Clan del Golfo and all types of different situations. God has been there with me, protecting me all the time, and God, has been so good to me. But this basically tells you the level of insecurities that we always have gone through. And I think that, when you are watching that your country it is, being abruptly run by a narco government, and they're trying to take away your freedom of speech, and they're trying to take away everything from us. It's the least that we can do is just, speak up. And a lot of journalists and a lot of reporters and a lot of people are doing that. And because they're sick and tired of it. They're really sick and tired of it. They're saying, you know what, even if it is on the opposition side and they're speaking about it, it's actually creating that you're actually speaking about it. So it's actually credit due because you're actually talking about it instead of staying quiet and not saying anything about it. You're actually speaking about it, even if you agree with it or you don't agree with it. You're actually is becoming a topic now, and is becoming a topic for everybody to understand that is a problem. And for us to live over here it's extremely difficult. It's not easy. You have to understand that Mexico is number 3 for assassinations towards journalists. Number 1, you guys know that the limitations of Gaza, it is number 1, sadly. Number 2 is Pakistan. Number 3 is Mexico. So how has this, gotten into a point that everybody's so insecure, and that everybody, it is so difficult to get information out there. It's so difficult to just say the truth when there are several journalists, serious journalists that I have been watching, that I know that they talk about, and they have multiple experience talking about narco terrorists, talking about cartels, talking about all these kind of situations, that they have a vast majority, and they have so much information that they have so much knowledge about this. And every time that they go and speak about it, they're praying to God, hopefully this information will get out there and we can fix the problem. It is not even about the clout. It's not even about the likes, the views. It is about fixing our country, really. It is about the love that we have for Mexico and the love that we have to fix this problem, and to not, basically cause more problems into the neighbors in north and to the neighbors in south, is to basically live at peace. That is what we want, to live at peace. We want to go out at 9 or 10 o'clock at night and be safe with our family. We want to not hear a siren one day, not hearing a helicopter or a siren going up in our houses or around our streets, or not hearing there was a dismembered body found in a refrigerator, or it was a head found in a box, or there was a woman that it was assassinated, and she was young and she got raped and abused and she was found in a canal. And these kind of news are every day for us, and we are getting so tired of it. So tired of it, of talking about it, so tired of it, of the government not doing anything about it. This is the reason why a lot of people are speaking about it now. And some politicians, up in the opposition, now they're sick and tired of it. And what the Trump administration has done is that. And this is the number one reason why I don't want to talk about the immigration policies. I don't want to talk about, the immigration, policies of the Trump administration. That is not the case. I'm talking about the security of how the Trump administration has pushed the government of Mexico to expose himself and to basically know how deep the corruption that is happening in our country. And it is so deep and it is so hard that now what they have provided is just, let me give you some courage there. Bam. Go up there and speak about it. And now you have politicians on the opposition speaking about it. Now you have politicians and live streamers and bloggers and YouTubers and journalists and reporters and broadcasters and every kind of people you have now speaking about it and saying something about it and becoming a voice, even if you agree with it or even if you don't agree with it, you're speaking about it. And that is what the government doesn't want. This is why they want to put a amendment law. This is why they want to take away the freedom of speech. This is why Claudia Sheinbaum wanted to basically enable the platforms and take control of the platforms and communication. That is one of the faces of socialism. Control the communication antennas, control the communication, everything. This is, one of the reasons why a lot of people are speaking about it. And one of the reasons why everybody has a voice. And I'm so glad, more the better. The more the better. Even if you agree with it, even if you don't agree with it, the more the better. The more the better that we treat ourselves with respect, the more the better that we respect each other, the more the better that we unite with each other to fight a cause, the more the better that we try to do the best that we can to fix a problem and to do something about it. The more the better. In Mexico, Mexico is a beautiful country. We have so many resources. We have so many, our country is beautiful, man. Let me tell you something about it. Our country is gorgeous. Our people are gorgeous. Our culture goes back into decades and decades, man. How our country was founded, La Gran Tenochtitlan, how our flag represents an eagle, devouring a snake on top of a nopal has a significance. The red, the green, the white has a significance, and it makes us proud. The pride thing in our country, it is so gorgeous. Our culture, our food, and it is ruined by this cancer that is already being metastasized in our country. And we try to speak about it and we try to eliminate it because we're sick and tired of it, because we know we deserve better. We know that there's a lot of talent in our country to be scientists, to be engineers, doctors, and we have a lot of them that they're extremely talented, and we have so much talent in our country that our country needs to be a first-class world country. Why we can't be a first-class world country? And this is why a lot of people are speaking about it. And this is why, when this kind of situations happen, when these kind of circumstances happen, we need to speak about it. And we don't have to stay quiet anymore. Chicanos in the United States of America do not understand this. A lot of Chicanos and a lot of Pochos in the United States of America, they're far to the left, and they're far attached to the Democratic Party. They're really far to the left, and they do not understand what we're going through over here. They think that Claudia Sheinbaum is an enormous, great president, and the political party of Morena has created a great change in our country of Mexico. If you go to the statistics and stats, under the AMLO administration was almost 217,000 murders due to homicide and cartel activity. Right now, what is happening in our current administration, it is embarrassing. Why am I saying that it's embarrassing? Because they're saying, we just dismantled more than 1,200 laboratories. What does that mean? It means that those 1,200 laboratories were active on the past administration, that was your teacher and you were the successor. It is embarrassing. It is embarrassing to say we just arrested, because the Trump administration, it is pushing us so hard with this 25% tariff. We just arrested more than 20,000 agitators and high-impact criminals. It is embarrassing because those 20,000 were free on the past administration. We just decreased 50% on the arrival of fentanyl all the way to the north. It is embarrassing. Why? Because that should have been stopped 6 years ago. 6 years ago, it should have been stopped. It is embarrassing. We just extradited 55 criminals into the United States, leaders of cartels. It's embarrassing why these guys are still out there, why they were free, why they were active, why until now you arrested them. You should have prevented a lot over the past 6 years. It is embarrassing because you had an open border And it was a flooding of people that they were good people, that they were migrating for the good circumstances and the better for their future. We understand that. I walked with them 4 times through the Darien Gap. I walked that route like nobody else. Me and my brother Ben Bearquam, like nobody else, all the way from South America into North America. We walked that nobody else. 12 caravans I walked. So I know that there were really good people walking on caravans and really good migrants. But I saw really bad people. And those people were coming in through Mexico. A lot of them stayed. A lot of them stayed and worked with cartels. And a lot of them got into the United States of America. And you have a gigantic problem now that you are qualifying people that they're good and they're bad and you're this and you're. It's a disaster. Why was it a disaster? Because this problem started with leftist governments. They do not care about security. They care about being more humanitarian, controlled by globalist organizations like the United Nations, OIM, and the UNHCR. Controlled by elitists, and they're not the ones that they're running the show. Somebody else is running it, and now they're being pushed because they're being hit in the pockets, like Gladys Sheinbaum, and they're actually, they're spiderweb buddies. They're being hit in the pockets. These government officials, they're being hit in the pockets, and they're being exposed massively. They're being exposed. Why they're being exposed? Because they just exposed companies, 12 companies that they were actually providing precursors and chemicals to basically construct and make all these materials and make all these situations with fentanyl. You got to be kidding me with this. How can it be possible that until now you just discovered this? You have to be freaking kidding me. Until now, until 2025, you just discovered 12 companies that they were providing precursors and chemicals to Los Chapos, that they were actually making tons and tons of fentanyl directed with laboratories all the way to the United States of America. What happened under the 6 years of AMLO? These companies were not existing. These companies were not doing that. Oh, they just started doing it today. This is embarrassing. It is, for me, it is an accomplishment of pressure. It is not an accomplishment of having an initiative to fix a problem. Because if it would have been an accomplishment of having an initiative to fix a problem, this problem would not be coexisting for more than 10 years, 20, 30 years. It is not an accomplishment. It is basically making the government of Mexico look like an embarrassment because they have been aiding and abetting this to continue for years and years and years. And now the Department of Treasury, it is the one that is exposing dirty politicians, and it is the one that is exposing companies like this. It is a reality. Am I speaking out of just speaking? No, I'm just saying what I'm reading, and I'm just saying what every other Mexican also thinks about this current situation. Thank you so much for joining in. We are going on 58 minutes on this live feed. God bless you all. Thank you so much. It is nice to talk to you guys on this Monday, October 6th. The time, it is 8:50 in the evening, West Coast time in Tijuana, Baja California. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in, for, basically sharing. Also, I want to say thank you to Samantha. Thank you so much. My God, thank you so much. Says, I'm glad you're safe. Have faith, no fear. What is next? God is good. Thank you so much. I would like to read also the Dina says, Oscar, thank you for your work and reporting. God bless you and stay safe. Thank you so much. And also Anonymous says, this is for your trips. Thank you so much, Anonymous. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you so much for joining in. God bless you all. Hopefully you guys have a good stream. I will post this stream and I will leave it there on our platform. Stay safe. And like we always say, people, God's plan. Oh, before I go, be sure to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're having a little bit of issues with YouTube. And the issues that we're having is censorship. It is every platform and every person that speaks differently or has a diverse opinion of what is a progressive liberal narrative. It has been censored, and I'm not the only one. There are there's thousands of other people that they have been censored. So be sure to subscribe to our channel in YouTube, and be sure to like subscribe to our page on X, and also to like the video and share the video and follow us on Facebook. God bless you all. Stay safe. And like we always say, God's plan, it is our